Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to share with you guys the best that I can the who, what, when, where, and why of the Spyderco Navaja. Now, I didn't go super research heavy on this one, so it is going to be missing a lot of what I consider important details, but at least I'm getting the video done, so there's that. So the Spyderco Navaja, this is a knife that I owned in the past, and it is one that I repurchased recently. And I've only done that a couple of times. The Zero Tolerance 0392, the Benchmade 940-1, and I feel like there's one other that I sold and bought again, but it's maybe this one. Maybe it's only 3 knives that I've sold and bought the exact same configuration of again. Being that the Zero Tolerance 0392 had 7 variations, and the Benchmade 940 has, I don't know, at least 3? No. It's got a bunch of special editions out there, so there's a lot of variations to the 940. So anyways, just those 3 knives that I bought the exact same knife of again. This one did not have alternate variations, so it's just a straight up, I owned it, I sold it. I regretted that decision. I thought about this knife for at least, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now. It just keeps randomly popping in my head, or I'll see a picture and I'll think, man, that was a cool knife. So that's what this one is. So this is a repurchase of a knife that has been discontinued for, I think over 4 years now. I think it was discontinued back in, maybe towards the beginning of 2015. And if one of you guys is maybe more of a Spyderco historian, you know when this knife came into production and when it was discontinued, by all means drop it in the comments below and I will pin that one, assuming the information is correct, although not that I would really know how without having to do some serious digging. Anyways, this one came about, it is a design by Ed Schemp. There we go, there's his logo. It is part of what I believe is called the Spyderco Ethnic series, and it is based on an old Spanish knife, Navaja style, uses like the caraca. So this knife's claim to fame is of course the ratcheting sound. So that's this knife's claim to fame. And to be honest, the knife or the ratcheting sound, I think it's just like a little spring that runs along kind of a spoke there. They ultimately break eventually. That's kind of a known characteristic of this knife, is that eventually it'll stop making the ratcheting sound. To me, it's cool and unique, but when the ratcheting sound goes, to be honest, I really don't care. For me, this knife is all about the design. The lines on this knife and the way that it flows together and the uniqueness and the very aggressive, I don't know if we can even call that a clip point, style blade, just with that severe and dramatic sweep here. Those are the things that I really, really enjoy about this knife. So, again, bought it, had it for a while, sold it a number of years ago, decided I needed one again, and thus began the hunt. So let me tell you guys kind of about the hunt. So the first thing you do is, of course, you go to Google, you type in the name, and you try to find one of these things, hopefully at a dealer. Now that didn't work. Blade HQ, GP Knives, Knife Center, all of the big boys, they've been out of these things for years. Alright, so the big places don't have it. Then you start looking at like the little more eclectic type of knife stores. I don't know. I don't want to throw shade at anyone, but you look at like DLT Trading, or some of the smaller ones, Blue Ridge Knives. That didn't work, and so then you start looking at some maybe like local knife shops that other people may not know about. So I tried one here in Arizona. Pinch had a knife and pen or something, and I heard the guy had one, but he wasn't going to let it go, and he told me he didn't have any. So is what it is. I tried Country Knives, like way out in Pennsylvania or something. So that didn't pan out either. Then I called the Spyderco store that's attached to the factory in Golden, Colorado or whatever. They didn't have any. And so then I turned to the forums and I looked for recent posts on blade forums and the USN I was going to post on the Facebook group. There's like a Spyderco fan or Facebook page or whatever. I was going to post there, and so anyways, so this process took roughly 3 weeks from the time that I was like, okay, I'm going to get one, until the time that I actually acquired one. So here are some of the depths that I went to. I ultimately ended up on eBay, and this knife, brand new, at dealers when it was available, was $157. On eBay, they either had some that were just like an open bid, and I have trouble keeping track of the time and making sure I bid at the right time. So I missed one of those. The other ones were available for like $350 to like $450 on eBay. And to me, that's that's a no-go for me. And you're going to look at my collection, you're going to say, Austin, you have a bunch of knives that are way more than $450. Why wouldn't you just spend $450? And really my issue is, what was the original price? I'm not a secondary guy. So you don't see like any Barkers or any Rexfords or any like top, super popular custom makers in my collection, because I'm not paying above table price. And that's me, and that's my thing. Like, I'm not saying that needs to be your thing, and I'm definitely not throwing shade at people who do buy on the secondary. By all means, buy what you like, buy what, whatever you want to do. But when I've got more than 100 knives in my collection, why would I be paying more than table price for anything? So that's kind of like my rule or my misgiving. So, again, it was only $157 knife. I was willing to maybe go up to $250 if I had to, but I definitely wasn't be going to $350 or $450 knife. Like, that's a no-go for me. In the same way that I won't pay $3,000 for a knife that sold $1,200 at table. Like, I'm just not going to do it. That violates one of my rules of collecting. And again, that's me, that's not you, and I'm not putting down anyone who pays secondary prices. Do whatever you want to do, enjoy life, live. So, anyways, ultimately, what I did is I ended up on the USN, and I found a for sale post that was 3 years old. And I messaged the guy, and I just said, hey, it wasn't marked sold. So I looked, and everything that was marked sold, I knew they were gone. So I just kept looking further and further back till finally I got to a post that was 3 years old. The guy had it marked for sale. It didn't show that it was sold. I messaged him, and I didn't hear back for 2 weeks. Ultimately, he got back to me. He said it was still available. It was still new in box. He said the box was damaged. Really not. I really couldn't care less. But I got basically a new in box Spyderco Navaja for the original price, which was $150, $157. So that's kind of the journey that I had to take. So went from the normal Google searches to Facebook groups to messaging Ed Shemp to searching the forums to looking at eBay to messaging 3-year-old sales posts. But I got what I was looking for, and I got it for the price that I wanted. So in this hobby, as long as if it's a one-off, you're going to have to pay what you're going to have to pay if you really want that one. If it was a production knife and it's hard to get or no longer being made, ultimately you will find it again if you are patient enough. I could have thrown a lot of money at this and paid 3x, the original price and got one. But again, that violates my rule. I wasn't going to do it, so I was patient, and I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy, and ultimately found it for the price that I wanted. So, anyways, that's what I had to do, and hopefully that's the process you guys take. If you don't want to be throwing a whole bunch of cash at stuff like this, like a discontinued knife. So, what a cool piece. I'm not going to go into specs or anything. I have a super old video that I'll probably link at the end of this one, but here it is next to the Parrot 2, and here it is next to the Sleesh Bowie. Ooh, that's dirty. So, I think these are currently the only Spydercos that I have. And once upon a time, my collection was pretty much only Spyderco. So it's interesting to see how things change. But that is this one. Again, part of the Ethnic line. There are a few other really cool designs that Shemp put out in the Ethnic line, like the Bowie folder, the Persian, and a number of other ones that are, again, all discontinued. But this was by far my favorite one from the lineup. So really happy to have this one back again. Hopefully I won't be dumb enough to let it go again. and it's not for sale. So if you're thinking, oh hey, he found one, he'll probably sell it. No, I won't. If you guys want one, you know, I don't know that messaging 3-year-old posts is really going to work out too well for you at this point, since I found that one and got it. But you can go to eBay and pay through the nose on one of these, or just be patient, and eventually one will pop up. So again, I apologize for showing you guys something that has been discontinued for years now, but hopefully that was an interesting story. And yeah, that's all I can hope. Thanks for watching. See you guys.